All right, so we've had this thing running, tried to drive it, and there were some issues. Let's kind of go over what they were, and you guys that are new can kind of clue into what's going on. So what happened when I drove it is when you gave it a lot of throttle and started to go up any kind of hill or grade or anything like that, the engine would just start cutting out and cut off. So it's either one of two things typically. I kind of narrowed it down to one, but I'll tell you about how to kind of get there. So there's two things it could be. You could have a weak ignition system. So a weak ignition system would, when you put it under a load, it causes it to misfire. So a weak ignition system on the secondary side. So on the primary side, that wouldn't be normally your points. It would be something on the secondary side, which would mean it would be like your coil or ignition wires or something like that. The ignition wires are good that are on here. I replaced the coil, and the coil itself is good. I just put another one on I had, and I'm figuring if it does the same problem with both coils, it's got to be on the fuel side. So I've eliminated ignition. So it would have to be, again, secondary ignition means the high energy side of the ignition system, not on the points. When it's under a load and it gets misfires, that's usually on the secondary side, just so you know. So the second thing I looked at was possibly a fuel problem. So what I haven't done yet is eliminate what that might be. I did find another carburetor at Pomona swap meet yesterday. So I got that just in case if we need parts or something is completely plugged where I can't fix it. Maybe we can use the other carburetor to do it. So anyway, what I think is wrong with it right now is the primary circuit of the carburetor, which is this jet right here on this one. They're located in different places on different year carbs, but this primary jet right here is a little jet in the side of the carburetor, and that seems to be clear, and the circuit seems to be clear with it. But as soon as it gets into the main circuit of the carburetor, which is the main jet, where the main jet is, which is right here on the side here on this one. It's actually behind this bolt. It is plugged somewhere probably, or not enough fuel. So it could be just too lean, or it could be just completely plugged, where it's just not getting enough fuel to go in there to run at a higher RPM. So it kind of runs at a higher RPM, but it doesn't, as soon as you get under a load, it just doesn't get enough fuel. So that, I believe, is the issue at this point. So let's try and figure it out. So we have that problem. We have a really loud exhaust system. Of course, I got scratches in the paint. I've had to put this engine in and out of this car like 10, 15 times to get it to go in. It was not easy. I had problems with the splines on the thing. I cleaned them. So I cleaned them. I got them so clean. And finally, I also put some grease on there, and just when you put the weight of the engine on with the splines from the clutch, it would bind a little bit, even without the. So finally, I put the grease on there. It was almost a press fit to get the engine in. Probably the most difficult engine I've ever put in, and they usually go in pretty easy when you have a 36 horsepower car, 36 horsepower engine, but it didn't work that way. So I had a lot of problems with that. So just fiddling with it, taking it out so many times. I'm not worried about it. I can repaint this stuff. I plan on doing a bunch of touch-ups, and my touch-ups aren't going to be just with a brush. I go through and sand it, paint it, blend it, make it look perfect. You can't see it. And that's normal when you're doing a restoration, of any kind. Usually you're going to get something, unless you're just going for the crazy thing where you just spend hours and hours and hours and hours for each item to put it together, and I'm not really doing that. So the other thing we ran into is it wasn't charging, so we'll look into that maybe. There was another issue. Again, the super loud muffler, I got to do something with that because I'm in a residential area and I don't want people hearing me fire up this thing and get mad, because I've had neighbors already complain about somebody revving their engine. Across the street, there was a guy who was working on a car, and he was just, you know, it wasn't really that loud, but it wasn't a big engine or anything. It was just about like this one, and somebody complained about that. So anyway, I don't want them to do that, so it's a pretty quiet neighborhood. Let's kind of keep it that way. So I want to fix the muffler. So I got some stuff to kind of fix that up. Instead of buying a brand new muffler for it, I'm going to go ahead and just repair what's here. Another thing I noticed in this car, it really isn't very much leg room in this year. So I wish I would have set the stuff to the back a little more. I didn't know that they were terribly bad. Plus there's this, I guess I know what's wrong. Need to tighten these down. Because I was going to say, the shifter was pretty far off. So I think I've got that figured out. Just tighten down those. I think I just put them on temporarily. So yeah, that'll settle that problem. Just tighten those down. Get the shifter to work a little bit better. I was kind of walking all over the place. First gear was like way up in the front, and it's hard to negotiate gears in. So I want to get that narrowed down. So I'll tighten those up. It won't be hard. All right, so that's good. It feels kind of normal now, but boy, sure is a lot of throw on these early ones. So anyway, that seems to be working okay. I got this thing done down here. Of course, I had to take it all the way off, take all the wires off, put it in the vise, knock the screw in, because it was not quite opened enough for the large screws. Lovely. Stuff like that, just everything I do, I have to take it off, on, put it on 6-7 times. Always great. Same with that thing. There was a little bit too much grease in the cup down there, and with the tight tolerances of the 54, the grease wouldn't bypass past the little ball, so it was not wanting to go into reverse. So I had to take it apart and figure out why it wouldn't go in reverse. And I know I had the plate on the right direction with the little tab that goes upward on the right hand front corner. So yeah, those are 6 times taking it apart, and I got it fixed. All right, some of these cars just have a lot of fight left in them. That's what I say. People go, oh, it's not the car. Yeah, it is. Shoot. Every car's different, and you know what? Some of them go together really easy, some just don't. And this one's been a don't all the way through. So a lot of stuff's taking me so long. That's why I just decided to upload the last video versus trying to fix this problem. Because you know, it could be an hour-long problem. It could take 6 more days. Seems like it's always been the 6 more days problem lately. Just hit it with some shop air and see if that does it. Maybe. Actually, it's plugged up. Let's take it off. Yep, definitely gonna take it off. So let's do that. Maybe I could. I don't know, these early carburetors. Gotta really look in there, see what it is. See if it's got to be plugged up there. All right, so here's what we came up with. It doesn't have any restriction, so I made sure I got a clear shot on here. I blew in the little hole there, and air comes out pretty clearly inside here. So it's not the check the throttle shafts. Yeah, it's pretty loose. The one I got's a little better than this other carb, sucking air a bit. So yeah, it should run still on that, and it would usually affect the idle circuit more than anything. But anyway, so it has a 112.5 main jet. My other car has like a 120. 117.5 is probably a minimum. So I might just be the main jet's too lean, and when it hits the circuit, it just doesn't have anything. So we'll try that, and then just see. My luck maybe won't work, and then I'll just have to get the other carburetor out. And I really don't want to buy a kit right now. They're kind of expensive for these carbs. So anyway, not the normal kit, guys. For an early car, very expensive, like 50 bucks. And not available very many places. Have to order it and wait. The thing I forgot to mention is the starter. So I don't know. I might have to take it out, and I think the brushes are getting stuck in the brush holder because it's probably rusty in there. So that's probably the issue there. But anyway, maybe let's see if it starts. See if we're lucky. Haven't been lucky much so far. Let's see. Definitely need to get a timing light on it, but it sounds like it's way too rich now. Once I put the 112 back in it, same thing. Definitely way too rich. You can see the black smoke, and it's not the main jet. Main jet shouldn't be more than a 1. So the float bowl level is not too high. I mean, if the float bowl level was too high at idle, it would be flooding over, and then down the road it might, it could suck fuel in, but it's more usually an idle problem. And I've also pulled the lid off, and the float bowl level's fine. So it's not that. It's something is causing this thing to suck fuel in, as it's almost like it's maybe the choke circuit's messed up. It's trying to figure it out might be a little too difficult. So, I mean, what I could do is I got this other carburetor. I pulled the jets out of it, pulled the main jets out. They were clean. I don't even think I'm going to take it apart. I think I'm just going to put it on there, see how it does. Maybe it'll just work. Because I pulled out the pilot. It was clean. The main jet was clean. Really nice. Looks like it may have ran on the car it was on. Just got pulled off for some reason. maybe this one will just work, and then we'll just go from there. See if it works, and then see what happens from there. Camera's overheated a couple times. We got extreme heat again. It's just crazy, you know. As soon as we go, why don't you clean your shop? It's like I'm trying to wait for it to cool off. You know, I don't want to work out here for hours and stuff while in the heat and do my yard work and all that. You know, work smart, not hard. But we just haven't had a break here. So anyway, just a couple days of it, and that's not enough. I need a lot. I need like 2-3 weeks of it. All right, here's the other carburetor raw. I just stuck it on here. See if it does it. Not so lucky. Yeah, but a little. Okay, so plug stuck. Solder is probably stuck too. I ran out of gas, sounds like. I think I ran out of gas. That's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like the carburetor quit. I think the gas ran out. I'll look at the fuel filter. And it's almost empty. That's why I got it there. Fuel filter is almost empty. I think I just ran out of gas. Alright, so figure that out. Bring you guys back in. So it did run out of fuel. And then I opened up the carburetor. And that is the fuel level. It was just basically empty. So, and then so what probably happened after that at the same time is the, which way does this go? That way? Is got stuck, the needle and seat. So anyway, that's why I kind of tap on them every once in a while, because they might get, so they get a little bit stuck, and then, so it probably got stuck shut. It wasn't opening. Now it's fine. So anyway, it's really easy to take this carburetor apart. So some people are wondering, why the heck don't you just take it and boil the whole thing out and get it all clean? It's like my sonic cleaner right now is got a bunch of dirty stuff in it, and I have to clean all that out and everything else to be able to clean something. So it's just easier for me to just do things one thing at a time like this and figure out the circuits, because you still have to do, regardless of whether you put it in a sonic cleaner or not, you still don't just rely on whatever that does. You have to blow through every circuit, take carburetor spray, and go through each circuit of the carburetor and make sure that all of them are open. I'm kind of curious to see what was wrong with the other carburetor. I'm almost thinking where this jack goes in, that there's an issue there. I'm going to take it apart and just look at it just to see, because it'd be interesting to know what it was. Wouldn't you guys like to see that? So maybe we'll do that real quick. Well, it's blistering hot right here. As we look a little closer, look like it was full of fuel. It's empty still. So, I may have lost the fuel pump. I went ahead and cranked it over again, and it fired up. I get it to run a little bit faster than the starter goes, so I put a little bit more in there. Maybe I'll try it a couple more times and see if it, maybe it's just lost its prime. I mean, there's fuel too right here. So now there's nothing in the fuel filter hardly, just so you can see the very bottom of it. It's a little tiny bit down there. I thought it was full a second ago. I took a break for a minute because it was super hot. Anyway, let's see what's going on. All right, so here's the process of what I did. Of course, I couldn't film it all. Just little piddly little crap, taking the carb off, the top off the carb, putting it back on, back and forth 100 times. Okay, so what happened is the same thing before. The needle and seat, I checked it, it was clear. But what was happening is there was a little piece somewhere in this little bit of line right here that kept on going and getting stuck in the needle and seat and then unsticking it. The only reason I found it because I just got fed up with it. I was just, I'm just going to put the needle and seat from the other carburetor on here, which the new needle and seats have a smaller orifice in them, so they're even worse. So the old one that I had that was on the first carburetor that I put on here, the needle and seat hole was bigger. This is a common thing on these. The needle and seat it's a very small orifice. It's like the size of the main jet. So it just, fuel gets little something tiny gets stuck in there. You know, these, you gotta have a fuel filter on these. And there's no, I mean, you can on the ones you get a brand new line and everything. Put a brand new line from here to there, and then put your fuel filter up further because you don't want it to look like it has a fuel filter on it. But definitely put one on somewhere, because that sucker will get one little tiny thing. It's so small. So anyway, got it back on there, put the other needle seat in, and then when I put the other needle and seat in, it just got, I don't know, something, whatever got stuck in it, and it was stuck open, and then it was flooding over. And I just took off the lid again, you know, checked it. I've already checked the needle and seat, I don't know how many times with, you know, by just blowing into it. And then finally now, whatever it is finally found its way through. Some people go, well, hey, you could take the carburetor off and rebuild it. You're still going to have these issues. Even if you take a carburetor all apart and clean it and put it all back together, it's still clean, but it still has whatever issue. You know, sometimes you'll have an orifice that's plugged somewhere in, and you can put it inside carburetor cleaner, and you'll never get that orifice cleaned out until you actually stick a piece of wire through it or something. So it's really not just getting it clean. It's more than that. So you always have to check it. Carburetor rebuilding is, you know, sometimes you just got to really play with it until you get it working right. The funny thing is, accelerator pump works now. It didn't before. It just started working. So when I was taking it apart, I would see it kind of squirt fuel up. So anyway, let's listen to it. And watch it not start now after. So now. I'm sure it'll drive now. It runs really good. Actually, this motor doesn't sound too bad. I just got to find out what that light is. So let's check that out. Move on to the next item. So I just took the needle seat from this one. I was checking in here. I was going to make this on a video, but I just pulled this apart to see if there was a way for the fuel to get past the main jet and into the chamber. I didn't see anything. There could be like a really small crack. We've had that before in one of these carburetors. Sometimes they just get bad. You can't fix it. So, you know, you can't always fix everything. You have to try and fix it if you can. You know, that's why I got the second carburetor, because I was like, well, this one may have a major issue, and I think it does. So the other one works great. So problem solved. All right, contact. Let's see. Nope. Not charging. That 6 volts. Give that a love tap. Nope. Well, guess we gotta fix it. So I'm gonna have to get fixed at least 6 or 7 times. I know everything's been that way so far, so let's just figure this one's gonna do the same. And just when I thought it was never ending, it finally decided. The car, I think these cars have minds of their own, really. It's like they either want to be fixed or they just don't. And sometimes they just got their reasons. They just have to fight with you the whole time. So I'm going to start with this. I guess I could kind of run through here and just remember how these things work. I almost always just cave on most new cars and just go with an alternator, because it's just I'm going to say that probably the points are one of the sets of points is a little got a little something going on. So we'll just figure that out. Usually what I'll do is I'll take electronic spray, and then the other thing I'll do is another thing that happens a lot is the brushes, because it's been sitting for a while, don't seat into the armature. So I've taken a piece of sandpaper and put it on a screwdriver and just clean the armature. Done that before. Since it's 6 volt, we're gonna have to figure out a way to fix it. Certainly don't know if I want to take it off. Well, I gotta take the engine out anyway, but I'm not sure. Well, I could try grounding the field wire while it's running. Let's see if that works. It's only 6 volt ones. I got to remember which one's the field. So obviously this one goes to the sender, to the idiot light. This one, let's see, this one here's the hot lead. It's a good guess. And then this one that's all taped up is probably the field. And then the hot's going to come out of here and then go through and then go to that side. Yeah, that's what I think, but I'll look at it. Usually there's markings on it, so I got to get my reading glasses out since I can't see anymore. And I'll bring you back in and tell you what I found. Let you know. Alright, so that one is the field wire I was right. Let's ground it. Let's see if the gauge moves. 6 now. Try and get a good ground. I don't know, maybe right here. My finger on that pulley. So anyway, we tried to ground the field wire and we get nothing. So it's got to be more than likely the generator's having an issue itself, which is we got an extra one of those. We don't have a second voltage regulator, so let's hope that we've got a good generator on the other one. We'll do a bench test on it. Alright, so we got our jumper battery hooked up. I got a 6 volt and a 12 volt. I don't know if this 6 volt has enough juice. We can check it real quick, I guess. Let me do that. And we have juice, so it's 6.2 volts. I did it with the 12 volt. I'm just going to do it with the 6 volt. I just was playing around with it to see. So, go 6 volt, should go to here and get a little bit of a sparky, but it shouldn't turn. Just maybe it turned a little bit, but not really. And then I go to here, and then I go to ground the field. Yeah, it should start spinning, and it does. So I think this generator is good. All right, come on. Don't want to do that too much, but just and then it'll let you know that I did get it together. There it goes. You can see it. We all saw it spin. It goes backwards, and that tells us that first of all, you get a little tiny bit of spark, but it shouldn't like start turning because then it's grounded. Then there's something wrong inside here, and the field windings are grounded. If they're grounded, then it'll spin fast right when you just ground it here, and that will be no good. That means that it's got a ground issue inside of it. But this one seems to be working okay. So if we can't fix the other one, what I'll do is I'll take the other one off and I'll test it the same way. I should have done it before, but I just was like, let's give it a try first and see. No, not so lucky. But so this one here is good. And as I said, it shouldn't turn. It should be just only when you ground it. When you ground the field. So right when you ground that field, it should start turning. And so anyway, looks like we got a good one. My guess from experience that one is okay. So we'll put this one back on and then put the wires back on it. I just didn't want to have to go through the thought process of remembering which one of these two wires would be which. But the thicker wire, now that I recall, is definitely the positive D plus or whatever, and then this one's the field. So anyway, all right, we got a good one. All right, so let's test this one out and see. So we'll put positive voltage to the plus wire, D plus or whatever it is. It's easier to tell what they are on the other ears. And then you see we got our little bit of groundy stuff going on. It kind of sparks a bit. That's kind of normal. So when you hold this on here and you ground the field, there it goes. Turns over like a motor. Okay. I want to say this generator here is good too. The issue I think with it is there was this taped up wire underneath the, if you guys saw this, the taped up wire underneath the regulator. I don't think there's anything wrong with the regulator. I'd be surprised if there is. Probably just clean the contacts on it. Probably be fine. There was this on here because I guess the wire was too short. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this apart, strip this down a little bit, and then just solder and shrink tube this together, because I think that's just a bad connection. The way that they had this with the spade slip in, if you can see that, they had a spade slip in. Yeah, I don't think that was getting good connection, and that's probably why. And I tested it in the car. I tried to fulfill it, and it didn't charge in the car, so that was probably just this right here. So anyway, all right, we'll go ahead and fix this one up and see if this one works good. Believe it will, both of these are good, so we should be able to get one out of it, and then hopefully we can fix the regulator and clean up the points and stuff like that. Maybe that'll probably work too. So that'll be good. That charging problem fixed. On to the next issue. And so I cut these off and then drilled these out a little bit. That's basically a straight tube across there with the pieces on there. So I got to clean that up and weld that on a piece of tubing. And I'll just put tailpipe on there after I get it up in the car, because then I can see right where it goes. So anyway, got this tubing here. Can fit that on there. Talk to you later. I've been kind of pressed for time because of the heat we've had. It was like 105 yesterday, so just insane. This is October, and we don't usually have that much heat. So anyway, and in the sun, it's much hotter than that. And the sun approaches, you can see right here, the sun starts to come around. And usually I get shade from that tree for a little while in the morning, but in the afternoon it's just pure sun heat. 100+ degrees. So I've had to hustle my way through some of this stuff, but I did get the engine in, and it just slid right in. And I had to do it, you know, like on off hours, because in the middle of the day I just can't do anything. It's too hot. So got it in, got the exhaust in. I'm going to finish welding that in real quick, and then right now, and then finish hooking up everything and give this thing a shot, and then we'll see what we got to do to some of the other items that need to be done, and go from there. But the engine just slid right in, unlike the other times. I guess after it's been run a little while with a little bit of movement there, whatever tiny bits of stuff that I couldn't get off worked its way off from the movement. So yeah, we'll get this on. Just weld it in and talk to you guys later. So yeah, she fired right up. Had a little problem with the needle and seat sticking a little bit. There's just some debris that keeps getting in there. It's working okay, but somehow it's got to find its way through. And then that happens. The light kind of flickers, so I got to check that out, see why it's not all the way out. It was out when I first started it, then it started flickering. So it could be like the generator. I sanded the armature, but maybe it's just needs a little more love there. So I'm thinking it's just, that's what it is. But it's weird that it worked when we had it out. So at least there's that. I got to do some stuff with the steering. I only got one bolt in here. I just tried driving it without that. It was just too dangerous. It can't steer it. You know, it starts to want to bend and stuff. I got to get that other bolt lined up. Really need two people to do that. One to hold the thing in place, one to put the bolt in. So I got that problem. All right, contact. See if it let it cool off for a while. I was just in the house cooling myself off because it's so hot. It's unbelievable. It's in the hundreds in October. Let's see if she goes backwards. Wish I had a mirror. Seems to want to go backwards. If I could see better, would be nice. I can't see. Runs pretty good. It sounds like hell still. There's some exhaust leaks, obviously. I found out these taillights are working. Check out how bright these are. All right, let's check the brake lights. Oh boy. Something just happened. No, I wasn't liking the brake pedal in this thing. Remember I said they didn't seem to work very good now. Yeah, something gave away. I stepped on the brake and the pedal just went to the floor. So now it's up. All of a sudden it just collapsed like that. There you go. Now look at how high it is now. It's way up here. Push on it hard. And it went down. That's definitely a first. My brake line was loose. I wonder why that thing was so bad. So anyway, got good brakes now. They feel solid. Very weird. I've never left one of those loose ever. Happens, I guess. I mean, 40 years I've never left one loose, so that's weird. Anyway, let's see how this shows up on camera. Oh, you can see them both. You can see them better in the on the lens than you can in person. That thing's so dim because I don't know, the connection's not the best or whatever, but it's got some oil pressure. Well, we finally got that working. A couple little issues fixed. I burned up the regulator trying to figure it out. So anyway, but it's charging all the time, so it's overcharging right now. So I guess that's it. It only gets up to about 10 volts. That's it. You know, this one's, some of these old ones, they get up to like 24, 36 volts. I mean, some of the 6-volt generators. So I've run them on, I've run them with a 12-volt regulator on before with a 12-volt car, and it works. You just got to find a good one. It's not all of them work that way, but some of them do. They'll charge over 12 volts when they're going down the road. But at idle, they don't do much. They don't do anything at all. The light will be on as soon as you hit the gas. It goes out. I did that for years on my other oval window. Drove it like that for about a year or so and sold the car. Well, it sounds like hell, but it made it down the hill, over the hill. So let's go for a little drive and check it out. That noise was. Brakes work, kind of. First gear synchro is not there, of course. It's not supposed to be. great. Looks like it's just not gonna make it. Something happened. I ran out of gas or something. Let's take a look here. Little squirty. Yeah, it's got squirty. Something died though. I don't know what it is. Seemed like it ran out of gas. Still got fuel filter, still got fuel in it. See if it restarts. I don't know. I don't think I want to take it very far, that's for sure. And what made it stall? Same problems I've been having. And it does it again. We are not having very good luck, guys. Bring it back in a minute. The starter's not working the greatest, but I don't know. I think it's just every time I seem to get in it, it wants to have issues. So it's not wanting me to drive it. As soon as I start driving it, it starts having problems. So anyway, starts smelling gas, so that's a little worrisome. I didn't want to catch fire. So anyway, I got back home. It seems to run better here. Sure is one of the valves is rusty. I was trying to get it to move up the hill pretty good to try and clear it out. Then I'll try and retorque the heads. I'm not certain why it's stalled. Kind of bubbly, the fuel filter's not really full. I checked it, it only has like 1.5 pounds of pressure. So it could be when I'm on it like that, it just doesn't have enough fuel. Maybe the fuel pump might be just weak. It could be that. But as soon as I get going, those bubbles there, you know, it's like start going uphill like that, it starts to stall out. Now you hear that, it's almost it's not an exhaust leak really, it's actually a valve I think sticking where it got, you know, not quite seating good enough. One of the reasons I wanted to kind of fix the exhaust leaks a little bit so I could kind of hear it. And it's running all four. So it's just not very much compression. Listen, when I shut it off, so when I shut it off, you can hear one of the cylinders wheezing. Let's see if you can hear it. That. So it's like, I think it's just, you know, one of the cylinders is bad. I guess we could check compression on it, maybe. Just see where that's at. Maybe that'll just tell us what's going on with that. I mean, like I said, this motor needs to be rebuilt. I don't think there's any driving it with this one here for any long term. And it certainly didn't have that much power going uphill. It was slow. I was on the floor and it was like, bah. But, you know, I like to see what's wrong with the speedo. I know I rebuilt that. Thought I had it hooked up, but something happened. May have pulled out the cables on these. They make a universal cable for these, and they're kind of short for the oval because it goes through this tube, and it's not meant for that to go through that tube. So it'd be nice to know. I fixed the speedo's working, but I just think the cable fell out of the hubcap. Let's pull it off and look at it. All right, well, let's try adjusting the valve, or not adjusting. We'll retorque the heads and make sure that they're not loose. I know we're losing compression. You know, I can just hear it, you know, so there's no sense in me doing all the spending all the time going through doing the compression test at this point, just to, other than just to show you guys. But I think there's a loose head, maybe. Might be just a little loose. It's hard to tell on a 36 horse. So let's bring it over there. That really sucks not having a mirror. I got to get the visors in here in the mirror, and I haven't done that yet. I definitely need to get that in here. Alright, let's go put it over on the left and we'll take a look at it. Alright, so I went ahead and did the valves off of camera, but you know, I think every valve was tight except for one. But they weren't like extremely tight where it probably wouldn't fire. We're like at about 0. It could have been just a little bit tighter than that. But, you know, and I, of course, pulled the valve train off and checked the head bolts. So I check, what I do is I'll wiggle the valve first, see if they're tight. Then I'll pull the valve train off and retorque the 4 bottom bolts. I tell people to do that. Some guy says, hey man, you don't need to do that. I said, okay. I've been doing this my whole life. The guy I worked for, he used to do it every customer that we did, every one of the cars that came in. And we found loose head bolts all the time. All the time. We've, you know, 1/16 of a turn, some of them, some quarter turn, some you had to turn 2-3 threads. I mean, they get loose because it's a magnesium case that has constant hot and cold and hot and cold, and that movement causes those head bolts to come loose. So you don't have to take the whole engine out, just the 4 bottom ones. And so they were, a few of them were out of torque. They weren't that bad, but just, and I don't think it was like an entire misfire from that. I think it's just their valves are just shot because they're rusty. So, yeah, I mean, it really just needs a rebuild. But anyway, maybe we can drive it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just take it out for a drive real quick and see. I wanted to kind of film it going around a little bit, but I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to leave the house, but let's give it a shot. Whoops. Does run a little bit better, not much. I mean, it was definitely missing under load with those valves all being tight like that. And you got, now it wants to stall all the time. So it's just, you know, one thing after another. Fender rub. Traffic jam. Anyway, maybe after it warms up, it'll idle. It's deciding that it doesn't want to do that anymore. Doesn't seem to pop out. Can't really tell going this slow. Goes through all the gears pretty easily. So yeah, it's okay. You know, for a crap motor. Sounds like hell. It'll go uphill. Is it idle? Don't think so. Sort of goes uphill. There it goes, running out of gas. Whatever it's doing it now. Probably the fuel pump. I mean, that's so weird. Usually they either work or they don't. Yeah, it's one of the two. Fuel filter's not plugged. It's just... Now it's idling. Look at that. It idles. Just drive it easy going up the hill because otherwise I'll run it out of gas. Runs mostly on all 4 cylinders. Not too bad. Just sounds like hell. It's like a complete rat Volkswagen. Oh, so much for that. Looks like that's where we're staying right here. It's not going to go up that hill. We're done. Well, it's hard to say. You know, it could be vapor locking too. I mean, this thing's hot right now. Just from that little bit of driving, I mean, this dipstick's pretty hot. I mean, I can touch it, so it's not that bad. But, like, the fuel line here is pretty hot. I don't know. You know, and it's bubbling here, so I don't know. It could be the fuel pump's getting hot. Could be the screen in here. Could be plugged. I mean, I could check that. I have to vice grip the hose going up there to check it. You know, I mean, that's possible. I mean, that could be what it, because it's only getting 1.5 pounds. I think maybe I'll just rebuild it anyway. Probably could use to be done just to be safe. Because It's definitely, you can see here, you can see the fuel on the bottom of there. It's not pumping fully. It's not getting the fuel up to the carb enough. It's got that issue. It's running kind of hot. And the motor just really needs a rebuild. This thing's just, it's basically done what it's supposed to do, is get the car to move around the yard right now so I can work on different stuff so it's not in the way. So I can just hop in it and start it up. I noticed once it starts up and once it's been running for a while too, it starts cranking really slow. Now, again, that could be one of the brushes might have freed up in the starter, and or one or two of them. I think there's 4 on these, and I don't remember. I haven't had one apart in 40 years or 30 years or something. So one of the brushes is probably sticking, so it's not getting all the connection all at the same time. So that might be happening as well. So the starter needs to come out, get apart. But it seems to start okay when it first starts, but after it's warmed up, and it's not timing. The timing's pretty well dialed in. I timed it with a timing light. And I think I put it at 30 degrees or something like that. So it's not that bad. I didn't advance it way up or anything. So anyway, just because it's stalling and not starting very easily, I had to back up when I was on that hill where you guys saw where I stopped, and I just went backwards and then did a 3-point turn and then used the hill to get it started. Once it got moving fast enough, it started up right away. But yeah, it's running out of fuel, then gets it back, so something's going on there. The fuel pump, I don't think there's any restrictions in the line. The carburetor, we know, is pretty well cleaned out. I fixed that issue. Well, again, I've had it apart several times to fix that. So I don't think the carburetor's plugged up. I mean, I don't know. Something's plugged up in there because it isn't idling now. So, I mean, I could take it all apart and rebuild it. It's like, just take it all apart and rebuild it. You can take a whole carburetor apart and rebuild it. And if you don't find the problem, it's still going to have a problem. It'll just be clean with a problem. So you got to figure out the problem anyway. And that's what I'm trying to do. It's because if it's still sucking, like if it's coming out of that little bit of fuel line in the beginning there, it could be still sucking in more stuff in there. And that might be happening. Maybe the stuff that was in there has worked its way into the idle jet now. I don't know. As soon as I got down to adjustive valves, it didn't want to idle. It's just like one thing after another. As soon as I fix one thing, it's like I ain't gonna bother with anymore. It moves around. Again, it's doing what it is. I wanted to check the transmission. I got through all 4 gears. There's no noises from the tranny. The brakes are working pretty good now. It's just going to take weeks of time to go through all the little things, little issues it has, and do the touch-up paint and all that stuff. And then I still need bumpers, a lot of touch-ups on the paint too. I got to do a lot of that. Got to go and fix the speedometer issue. I don't know what's going on there. Simple thing, I'm sure. Get the bright light fixed, all the little stuff. Still, the throttle cable, it really needs that other tube too, because the pedal's way down low. It's not up nice and right where it should be. I have to preload the spring in the back here so that it has enough spring tension so it returns all the way. So yeah, there's that problem there as well. So like I said, it just needs to be right. Or if it's not right, it just nothing works right. Just everything has to be right. Well, let's look at those lights again right now. It's starting to get dark. So the front ones are pretty bright, not bad. They're normal. Yeah. These ones in the back are horrible. Nobody ever is going to see that. Nobody's going to see that. So I got to put some other lights on the back of this car. It's just go back here. Can you see it? No. I didn't think so. I can't either. So somebody on the freeway approaching me, you know, not going very fast, is just going to run right into me. So those are things you got to think about. I got some of those, like I have on my rag top. I have some of those doors shut pretty good. I still got to get those a little more adjusted. The bottom's winging out a little bit, so I could bring the bottom hinge in, play with stuff like that. It's just a lot of little tiny stuff. But I got one more set of those motorcycle taillights I have on my other car. I mounted them on the bumper so that I have an extra set of taillights. We'll look at those. These like this here. Those are lights. So they look kind of cool. Mount those on the bumper. Forget how I mounted them on there. I didn't drill any holes or anything. But those give you more light. And then I put a really bright license plate light in the back too. And then these both illuminate. So these two red things. I try and light the back of the car up pretty good. Anyway, at least I got... I was hoping it wasn't going to be quite as noisy as it is, but they're just other holes. I started finding more holes in the muffler, so I was like, oh, well, that wasn't going to work out. So anyway, but I was hoping that was going to be a little bit better than it was, but anyway, it didn't work out. So I just got to buy a whole new exhaust system. And the thing is, I need to rebuild the engine and do the exhaust. There's just no way to make this one work. It's just, you know, the valves, I'm sure, are pretty well not working very good. They're not seating very good. There's, you know, I don't even know about oil pressure. It seems like it's getting something. It's not at zero, but maybe it's not got enough to push it through the cooler, because the engine seems to be getting hot very quickly. So there's a lot of issues, just tons of them. Then I got to get a voltage regulator. You know, it's just, I need to spend a couple more grand on this thing. Don't really want to spend it on this thing right now. I've got other things I need to do. So this thing's going to have to sit for a little while and wait its turn. And then I'll finish the rest of the stuff on it. But at least, you know, it does work. And the semaphore on this side works. It's so weird. The other one, it worked off the battery I put in, so that works on this one. But as soon as I you know, put it in the car, it decides nope, it's not going to work. So anyway, tested it, do a bunch of, I did all this stuff. Everything I put in this car I've already tested. Tail lights, brake lights, all that stuff. Tested them with that's why I bought those little batteries. You saw those little batteries that I used for doing the what was I doing with those? The generator. I bought those batteries, the 6-volt one, and I bought a 12-volt one. I haven't had a 12-volt one for a while, but I bought the 6-volt one just to do testing on stuff for this car in advance. So just make sure everything works. So it's because a lot easier. Some things aren't fixed before you put them on than after. So anyway, yeah. This thing's looking really cool. I'd like to finish it out, but you know, it's gonna, like I said, I wasn't even really gonna go this far on it at all. This was supposed to be just kind of get it so it didn't rust, and then go to the other stuff I gotta do. And so anyway, we'll get back to this thing here pretty quickly. It all depends, you know, budgeting. As soon as I sell something, then I'll have more capital and I'll put more into this. So that's one of the issues I have. I've got to get the bucket truck running again. So the engine build for that's going to be coming very soon. So we're going to have that coming. I need to get that Rabbit truck. The insurance and registration every year for that thing's just eating away money. So it's sitting there, not being driven in I don't know how many years now. So I'm going to do some videos on it. And I've got some other equipment that I got to sell, just my work stuff, nothing to do with anything else, just to, you know, increase the capital right now, because I know we're heading for a rough one. It's coming. So it's barely starting right now. It's going to get much worse. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. I'll let you guys comment. I'll let you guys tell me what you think. And if you have any ideas, maybe I'll incorporate those and make more videos on this. I'm going to still do some more videos, but I just don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. So it's, at least it moves around. It doesn't really run much better, but enough to, it seems like the same problem's happening, but it's not. It's new problems, but they're just, you know, I had so many multiple problems at the same time, and the fuel pump is just one of them. So that's, I think the fuel pump's just not putting out enough. Maybe the diaphragm's just old and stretched out, and it doesn't have enough to push the fuel through anymore. That could be it. I don't know. It's an old car issues. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.